Hello, my name is Georgie. I'm also known as Craft Hero Gamer, and welcome to my Flosstube. Welcome back if you've watched me before, or just welcome if you're here for the first time. It's been a while. I'm not going to reintroduce myself fully. If hopefully you can get an idea of who I am, what I like to stitch, other things from this Flosstube, or you are more than welcome to go to Flosstube number 1 if you want sort of more of a bit about me, a bit of background, who I am, what I like to stitch in a bit more detail, and my other interests and that kind of thing. So just a bit about my floss tubes. There will be animal interruptions. I've got a sleeping cat, which is fantastic. However, I've got another cat that's not sleeping, and then I've got 2 corgis somewhere who are being suspiciously quiet right now. So yeah, we will get interruptions, no doubt. Which means it won't be one smooth all the way through video. I don't think it ever has been or ever will be. So there we go. We are going to go straight into the stitching. That's like 3 times I've said you can tell I'm out of practice. I normally go so, not so there we go. We're going to do works in progress, finishes, plans, or things I was going to do but haven't actually done. We're also going to do purchases. We're going to do a bit called Fab Folk, because I'm not going to do floss tubes that I've watched this time, and then we're going to do life stuff. As usual, JC, my lovely husband, is editing the videos and injecting his own brand of comedy. So anything you see around the edges, any text, any pictures, anything like that, that is JC right there, and it's all his own work. And if you've got any suggestions, tips, recommendations, feedback, or if you just want to say hi, feel free to pop something in the comments and I will respond and say hi back. Before I start, I just wanted to mention that I've had a pretty long break from filming, and I'll address why at the end, because I know not everyone's interested in like life stuff and things like that. So I popped a post up on Instagram a few days ago saying I was filming. Obviously, I'm filming now. Slight change of plan, because someone, no names mentioned, unbeknownst to me, had borrowed parts from the editing PC to put in his racing rig. So we're a wee bit behind on the schedule that I had planned for filming and editing. Also, I just wanted to say thank you if you chucked me a like on that post, or if you commented and said you were looking forward to watching. I wasn't fishing for anything, I was just trying to hold myself accountable, and that was actually really lovely that people said that, so thank you very much. So we are going to start with works in progress, or WIPs, which incidentally is Jonathan's least favourite thing that I say about cross stitch, I think. WIPs. Sometimes I even say it like Stewie from Family Guy. WIPs. So I've got one active project at the moment, what I consider properly active, because I need to get it done, and that's my curse project. It's not an ancient curse, it's not really cursed at all if we're honest, it's just got a lot of bad vibes associated with it, bad memories. I used to stitch on it when my mum was ill. I've had it a very long time as a work in progress, over a decade. We might have to stick an S on the end of that decade, it's been a while. I restarted it on the 2nd of April. My mum's health deteriorated again recently. I say recently, it's not been great for a while. And one of the reasons I wanted to restart it was, well, I'm used to stitching on it when she's been ill, but also I don't want her to see it. That's really bad English. Sorry, we've got a cat. I don't want her to not see this finished piece of work, so I need to finish it and I need to give it to her, and what a better way to do that than for her birthday. So I'm going to get JC to pop a starting point on there. So I restarted it on the 2nd of April, so I'll put it up here or here, and it hasn't been touched for ages and ages, yeah. So I'm also going to ask JC to put a photo up of what it's allegedly going to look like somewhere. And here we are. Noodle, not the carpet. Sorry. so I think you can pretty much get the gist of that. So it's called Japanese Maiden, and the artist is Robert Sober, and it's charted by Dimensions, and the size is 12 inches by 12 inches, so 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres, and it's a kit. It's a Dimensions gold kit. So when I started it, get rid of that. When I started it, pretty much all this bit was done, and a fraction from down here, but I've managed to fill in quite a lot over here, and it's just this bit to go, and like all the finishing, like a lot of finishing, but we're going to get it done. This is the active project and we are going to finish this. It's stitched 2/1, lots of blended colours, lots of half stitches with like 3 or 4 thread combos in the half stitches. I think I've got about, so I've got a cat on me now, so it's just kind of throwing everything. I've got about 8,000 stitches left, I think, just by counting squares on the paper chart. So ideally I'd like it to be done by Sunday. That could be a possibility. I am going away for the weekend to stitch things. More about that at the end. So it could happen. It might not. There are going to be other stitches there though. I could con other people into stitching it. I'm going to try and con Morty or Joe into doing some of the finishing for me, because there's like tassels and things. I know 2 people who are going to be much better at doing that than I am, that are going to be there this weekend. But yeah, I just want it out of my life and into my mum's in some way, shape or form. So yeah, the plan is get it finished and get it framed. When I give it to her, I probably won't fully finish it, because I'll see where she wants it and what frame she wants it in, and I'll sort that out for her. Half cross stitches are amazing. Like, I know people do them a lot and like do like heaven and earth designs, like big heids or big full coverage pieces, but the reason I've managed to sort of plough through so much of it is all these bad boys here. This is all like half stitches and it's quick. I'm even contemplating doing that on some of my other projects. She looks sort of zombie at the moment. Like, I've got a thing about eyes. So I figured out I missed the satisfaction of scrubbing out squares on paper with pencil. I really enjoy doing that. I should have taken a copy in hindsight of the chart, but you know, I probably was a teenager when I started this. Not going to go into that, not going to think about that too much. Any more thoughts on that? Oh yeah, threads do deteriorate over time. So this whole like old threads versus new threads, and when you pick up some like an older kit. That's the dog. 2 seconds. Told you, animal interruptions. Yeah, old threads versus new threads, and do threads deteriorate over time. For me, the ebony and the sort of the paler colours, they are disintegrating on this. Like, I'm glad. I think I've got just enough thread to finish some of these colours. I'm glad I'm sorting it out now so that nothing else deteriorates further. Just something to bear in mind. This must be... Hello, Dexter. This must be years old out the packet, and I can't think that... This sounds disgusting. As a teenager, I washed my hands and knew about sort of stitching hygiene. When I was doing things, so like the fabric is a bit, and like the threads have had like grubby paw mitts all over them. So how much of it is my fault, I don't know. How much of it just the age of the threads, I don't know. But I'd always sort of like wondered about that, and I'm now experiencing it for myself firsthand with the light colour threads. So yeah, that's the thing. like I said, target finish, end of this retreat business that I'm heading to tomorrow. So I said it was Sunday, the aim. So today, I'm recording this now on Thursday evening. We'll see. But nothing else is getting stitched on until this is finished and ready to hand over. Next, we have sort of active whips. Other things I have been stitching on until I thought, no, I need to focus on that. And the main one has been the Mockingbird Lane stitch along. So, Mockingbird Lane is where the Munsters live. And the Munsters, if you don't know what that is an old TV show. Now, when I heard this was happening, it sort of triggered a bit of memory. So part of my conditions, or I've just compartmentalised really well, I don't have much of a long-term memory. So when I do remember something, it's like epic. Or if I get sort of like a little trigger about something, like a feeling, you know, if that's amazing, it's great. So I got like a little trigger about this, that my dad used to enjoy watching it. And as I've been stitching it, it's quite cool because the characters have felt familiar too, I guess. So yeah, that's why I've started stitching this. I started it on the 1st of January and it's currently it is finished. So it was released as a frame at the end of October, then parts every 2 weeks from December until the 10th of April. So it's only just recently finished. It's by Olivia Lee Studios and I bought it on Etsy. I think it was about £14 or thereabouts, something like that. And there were 2 pathways for it. You could either do a colour version or you could do a grayscale option. And I know the TV show was broadcast in black and white, so that's what I went with. And here we go. Get it all in. So it is the Munsters Mansion. And as you can see, the frame's blocked off into rooms. As you can also see, it's very creased, but you know, it's not finished yet. It's not getting ironed. So the stitch count for this is 251 by 192 and it's been done on 18 count Haunted Moon Ada by Fabric Flair from Lakeside Needlecraft. So it's going to end up about 18 by 14.5 inches. Now, like I say, I'm slightly behind schedule, which is the story of my life. And I'm actually leaving all the finishing until the end because I don't want to crush things on the Q snap. Just get in there, see if you can see. Like Lillian Herman there. These gates, they were a thing. They took a while. I think the parts in the squares are about 800 stitches. That was not 800 stitches for a release. That was a nightmare. But it's done, and all the rest of it is little, although I know it goes outside of the frame that's stitched. So that will be interesting. I don't want to ruin it too much by showing what the finished piece looks like. If you want to have a look online, like I say, it is, oh hang on, Dex is going claws. It is finished, so if you go onto the Olivia Lee Studios Instagram, I think there's finishes on there. There's also a group for it as well. So you should be able to see the 2 finished pieces there. It's sort of a borderline of what I consider like sort of like the characters that I like. So I'm not too keen on like people in cross stitch or like cartoony cross stitches. So I'm always a bit dubious about like sort of people and characters and what they're going to look like. But actually, my head can cope with these. I like that. So looking forward to finishing that, but my target is obviously the Curse project, and this is going to go on the back burner, or it is on the back burner for now. So that is the Mockingbird Lane stitch along, aka the Munsters Sal. Next, another thing I was really enjoying stitching on until life happened. Life finds a way. Dexter also finds a way, because I think he's kicked this off the sofa, the little toe rag. Uno momento. Found it. Right, so another thing I was enjoying stitching on and had started, and what I consider an actual work in progress. Now, it is the Mothman Stitch Along by Wolfpack Creation. I was going to say Mothman is my favourite cryptid. I think Mothman probably is, but I don't know if I can actually go as far enough to say 100%. Definitely top 3. Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, if you're wondering. So this wasn't started the last time you saw me, so I don't think I've got a before photo to show you, but I definitely have a floss toss to show you, so I'll ask JC to put something in one of the corners. It's a stitch along that started on the 16th of November, and it's monthly releases, and it's going to finish on the 16th of May. So my target for this is, I'd like to finish it on time, just something, anything. This I would love to finish on time. We'll see. I'm not holding myself accountable for it. It's free, but it's pay what you can. So if you can make a donation to the artist, just to support them, that's, you know, fantastic, and that's what I'm going to do, or I think I have done. If I have, I'm going to check. I'm going to do it if I haven't. And this is how it's looking so far. Now, the reason I was loving doing this, Dexter, cat dismount, is because it's different, and it's what I've noticed about the things from Wolfpack Creation are that they are different, and they are good different, and I do sort of enjoy their layout and the patterns from that creator. So yeah, really enjoying this. I think I'm definitely 2 releases behind, maybe 3. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I'm doing this on 18 count grey clouds, Ada, and that's by Claire Brown Cross Stitch, Claire Brown X Stitch. It's 149 wide by 189 high, and that means for me about 8 1/4 by 10.5 inches. I love it. I do love it, and I love this. Like one of my favourite Adas, this Grey Clouds Ada. I love it. It's gorgeous. Like I say, slightly gutted that I've not kept up, but it's one of those things. I will either catch up, but it will be definitely getting finished. I think it's about 1,500 stitches per release, so it's not massively taxing, considering it's monthly. Now, I've sort of been skimming over what the next releases look like, but I'm not going to put what it looks like and sort of hardcore search for an image here, because I don't want to spoil it for myself. But yeah, Mothman Sal, a little bit different. What do you think? I do love it. Next, I don't think this one needs any introduction. It is the Cryptid Sal. Apart from that's not the Cryptid Sal. This is the Cryptid Sal. This one wasn't started the last time I spoke to you or filmed, so I've got a starting image. I'll ask for the starting image putting up. JC, please. I know what this one looks like when it's finished. I think everyone does, in like the stitchy corners of Instagram and groups that I frequent on Facebook. So I will put a finished picture up of this one. there are some awesome variations, and people have done some fantastic colour conversions and done some brilliant things with it. If you're not in the Witchy Stitcher group on Facebook, you ought to be, and you ought to check out some of the things that have gone in there, because there are some super talented people with brilliant brains who work better than mine, because I'm just like, yeah, I'll put a bit of sparkle in it. Don't tend to change things too much. Now, just scroll up on my notes while I'm doing that. Here is where I am. So I go back a bit. There we go. Yeah, didn't get very far. But I just want to point out how amazing this fabric smells. So I paid for like the deluxe kit for this, and you know, it came with stickers and a few other bits, but it came with the called for fabric, which is Old Salem linen. It's 30 count by the Primitive Hair. Now, I hate coffee. Like, I will say that. I can't go 100% on Mothman, but I can go 100% I hate coffee. I also hate tea. I'm not very good for a Yorkshire lass. I don't drink tea. This, I think it's coffee dyed. My goodness, this smells amazing. I normally can't stand the smell of coffee, but this, I could just sit and smell this all day. And I'm not kidding. I was packing for the retreat, and I was just opening everything up and like sealing things properly and making sure everything was in there. And I just sort of like opened the bag a few times just to smell it. It smells amazing. So anyway, get some Old Salem linen. You'll see what I mean. So let's have a look. It is 2/2. I can't remember stitching 2/2 before. That was a thing to get my head round. I had to keep counting and going tic-tac-toe, tic-tac-toe, literally to try and work out like where to jump over holes in the fabric. That was how my brain works. So the stitch count for this is going to be 199 wide by 244 high, which means it's going to put it at about 13 by 16 inches, I think. This stitch long is finished. The frame was out in August, and then I think it was pretty much, was it weekly? There was an occasional break, but anyway, it finished in January. So I am subbing out some of the threads with some diamond, some of the DMC's sparkly threads. So you can't tell, you're not going to be able to tell. But if I can get it in shot properly, the bats, these little bats, are going to be sparkly, and other bits as well. It doesn't show up too well. I did have like a little video somewhere, I think, where, oh no, you can sort of see he's got a bit of a thing going on compared to the others. Linen, I can't ever remember stitching on linen either. It feels a bit delicate for me, like I'm going to break it. I'm used to Ada and occasionally even weave. So there are some imperfections in the fabric. I'm also not used to that. But yeah, so it's a lot of new... Oh, Zoom's gone. There's a lot of new things in this for me, and I think that's partly why I was enjoying doing it so much. The other reason is I love cryptids, and yeah, really was excited for doing this. But then life happened again, and it got derailed. Everything got derailed. I've not forgotten about it. I've not forgotten about Cryptid with me, which is something I want to do, like stitch with me, but stitch on cryptids. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Nova's crying. She's poorly. I've got a poorly puppy, although she's not a puppy anymore. She was one a few days ago, which is quite, yeah, mind-boggling. So, yeah, I've not forgotten about Cryptid with me. I still want to do that. I'd love to get this one finished before the next Witchy Stitch Along, which is apparently a thing and going to be happening soon, which is related in some way to the Cryptid Stitch Along. So super excited for that. But everything's got to get put on hold because that cursed project needs to get sorted. That's another one. Last but not least, I hesitated to bring this one out to show you because there's been no progress whatsoever. I pretty sure there's been no progress whatsoever since you last saw it. And when you last saw it, it was probably Flosstube 2 or 3 possibly. Something's going on in the kitchen. It's cat versus dog. It's going to end in woofing or tears, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, hesitated to bring it out. I don't think there's been any progress at all since you last saw it, and it's slightly pathetic. So it's not, it's a lovely piece, it's not a pathetic piece, it's me that's pathetic. This is, I fell in love with this when I saw it. Not this. This is tiny, you can't even tell what this is. It's Heaven and Earth Designs, and the designer is Rob Carlos, but Haid charted it, and it's a piece called Finding Fantasy, and I'm going to ask JC to put what it looks like in one of the corners, where it's supposed to look like, or what it will look like in the end. So I'm stitching this on a huge piece, well, there's bigger pieces, but a big piece of Zweigart Ivory Cream Brittany Even Weave. I think it's 28 count, and I'm stitching this 1/1. When it's finished, it's going to be 525 wide by 787 high stitches wide, so that's going to put it at about 19 by 28 inches. Check out my progress on my Haid. How epic is that? I know. What can I say? I loved it as soon as I saw it. I loved all the details on the signpost. I loved the moody colour palette. And yeah, there's just so many other things to stitch in the world, and it's not that I'd love it any less. It's just that there's not enough time. It's teeny tiny stitches. It's 28 count, 1/1, which I quite enjoyed doing. It's quite nice not having to muck about with 2 threads or loop starting with 2. So I do quite enjoy doing that, but it's a parked work in progress. And there we go. That's the works in progress, or what I consider my works in progress. I'm sure there's probably more stashed away in the box of doom or wherever. However, that's what's in the bags, and that's what is in my head being stitched on at some point. I'm going to go see what's happening in the kitchen, and then we're going to have a look at finishes, and we're going to look at finishes from oldest to newest, and I'll be right back to do that. Right, I'm back with a Nova, because we're a bit needy, so we're a bit poorly, aren't we? Yes. Because this isn't going to be chaos. Right. Just like licking everything. Just don't lick the finished things. Right, we are going to do finishes, and we're going to do oldest to newest. Now, some of the finishers have gone to their actual homes, so I only have images of them, and that's cool because it gives JC something to do, but I also have some to hold up. Not sure how that's going to go with a puppy on my lap, so we might have to take another break and I evict this little furry monster, unless she evicts herself, which is a possibility. That was her managing to stop the recording with her touchpad, with her nose. Oh. Right, might be safe. So, the first thing I've got to show you is an image of a finished piece, and I'll ask JC to put up my starting point for that. Now, this was stitched in secret for Carrie, DNA Geek Crafts. It was just a bit of stitch kindness, surprise kind of thing. Now, don't judge me. Feel free to judge me, it's fine. I don't really do manga or anime, or, well, closest I sort of get is Pokemon, and I know that's not even close at all. That's a stretch. So I've no idea really of who any of these characters are, or what the series are, or anything like that. But I did know enough to do some Googling and some searching, and that was just from Carrie's Flosstube, to be honest. So the piece that I stitched was Sebastian from Black Butler, and I'm going to put an image up well, I'm not, JC's going to kindly put an image up somewhere for us. So this was from Cowie Cross Stitch UK on Etsy. Sorry, we've got corgi wars going on now. Oi! Ababa. It was from Cowie Cross Stitch UK on Etsy. It probably only cost a few pounds. It was stitched on my favourite, yeah, I think I can go favourite probably at the moment, 18 count Grey Clouds Ada by Claire Brown Cross Stitch, Claire Brown X Stitch. And it was charted in anchor threads, so I did a DMC conversion and then I tweaked some of the colours because they weren't quite right. They didn't look quite right. So I did a bit of tweakage going on. It was quite small. It was 57 wide stitches by 80 high, which put it about 3 by 4.5 inches when I actually did it on the 18 count. And I'm trying to think, it was started on the 28th of June 2021 and it was finished on the 22nd of July 2021. Not much to say about it. Sebastian is what Sebastian is. It stitched up really nicely, quite quickly. It was quite satisfying to stitch up that piece. And yeah, Sebastian now lives in America with Carrie and Lexi and has also got a companion piece that Carrie recently stitched, and I can't remember the name of that person because I am rubbish at things like that, and I also don't know the series, so I'm not even going to hazard a guess at it. But yeah, that was Sebastian. So the next finished piece I want to show you has also gone to its new home. So we've only got images. It's a dog's life and it was stitched for a work colleague. So I'm going to ask JC to put up a picture of the last time you saw it somewhere, because it was a work in progress the last time I did a Flosstube. So here, JC please, is the finished item, and I'll ask JC nicely to switch to the fully finished item because I totally fully finished this. Sebastian didn't get fully finished in a frame because I wasn't sure on taste. Also, I wasn't sure on smashage over to the States, because as much as we love our postal and delivery carriers, and even if we put fragile on them, we know what happens. But yeah, it's a dog's life, got delivered by hand, so here it is fully finished if it's not already up on the screen somewhere. Now, this was a kit and it's charted by Bothy Threads and it's part of the Margaret Sherry collection. It was 14 count Zweigart Ada, I think, definitely 14 count. The kit cost about £20, but it had everything in it. It had the chart, the threads, fabric. I think it had like a needle in there as well. It was about 190 square stitch count, which put it at about 35 centimetres square, thereabouts, about 15.5 inches square. I started this on the 25th of May 2021 and I finished it on the 16th of August 2021. I was done with this. I was ready to be done with this. I think it was because I was on a deadline for it, because I was told there was a meeting at work and I wanted to give the gifts over, and then that meeting then changed, which I'm slightly bitter about. However, I had issues stitching the flowers, like major issues, like counting issues, my issues, not issues with the pattern. I just could not do it. The back stitching on this though was epic. On Instagram, so about the time I finished it, so if you go back to my Instagram on like the 16th of August, because I'm too lazy to find another picture, the back stitched magic was epic. It did so much for it. It was amazing to watch the transformation of it. So yeah, thoughts on it. I was over it by the time I'd finished it. It wasn't really my taste, wasn't for me, but the recipient seemed to like it. Or if not, they've got a nice frame that they can reuse and they can sling or donate the dogs out of it. So that is It's a Dog's Life. And speaking of It's a Dog's Life, again, we have corgi wars going on, so apologies for any additional sounds you may hear. Next thing that we have is also an image, because it's gone. You see, check this out. Like, it doesn't stay like this. I've got like 4 not fully finished things next to me to show you. So Medicine Spoon Memorial is my next finished object. So I picked up on this from Mad Morty, in one of her first Flosstubes. It was for a collaborative memorial art project to honour women who were persecuted as witches during the witch hunts in the UK. So for a small fee, you were sent a medicine spoon design printed on pre-loved fabric, just sort of like an outline. And then you decorated it however you wanted and then sent it back to be included in the memorial exhibition. Now, unfortunately, I didn't manage to get to the memorial exhibition. I would have absolutely loved to, so I'm hoping they sort of put it back up again. But if not, it doesn't matter. It was the intent and the piece that mattered, not the fact that I got to go and see it sort of hung up in its place. So in the package, you also got the name of a wise woman who was persecuted, and you incorporated her name into your design. You could also like sort of look her up online and check like dates and things like that. So this is what was in the package, and this is where he puts it is the starting point. So this is the print that I got, and here are some fully finished images, sort of like one of the spoon itself and one of a bit of a close-up of my wise woman and her date, the date that she died. So yeah, I stitched that with intent. I love stitching it, like the intent behind it, the colour palette that I chose. I've not done any embroidery in ages, so it sort of reignited a love for not cross stitch, like something different, embroidery kind of thing. It was stitched in a very short time frame, so I started it on the 27th of September 2021 and I finished it on the 29th of September. I never measured it for size, but sort of like the fabric was like about yay by yay. Yeah, that was a fantastic thing to sort of take part of and also see everyone else's creations. So there is a Facebook page for it, and yeah, just seeing everyone else's designs, they completely blew mine out of the water. Like sort of the inspiration and the, you know, Zoom's gone again, that's my fault. Everything else that other people created was just above and beyond anything my imagination could do. Such talented people out there. So that was the Medicine Spoon Memorial. That was a lovely little piece. Speaking of other lovely little pieces, next for me, for finished object, is Halloween Triceratops. This is cute. This is cute. Be prepared for cuteness. So this was stitched in secret for Dollface K on Instagram, who also has a Flosstube, and I'll pop a link to that in the description. So it was part of a Halloween gift exchange. I don't have the finished item because it's in America, so I asked JC to pop a picture up of it. Bad things are going to happen in a moment. I can see out the corner of my eye they're going to start fighting over a toy. We'll see what happens. So this was done on 18 count smoky oaky, which is a lakeside needlecraft fabric. Now, if you ask me, it's a bit more greeny weeny than smoky oaky, but it was a lovely background for this. And the designer is Kick Stitches on Etsy, and there's actually a 3-pack. There are 2 other dinosaurs in this sort of trilogy, and I am totally intending to stitch these up for myself at some point. I will make the full set one day. I have nothing else to say about it. It's just adorable and I love doing it. It was a lovely little piece to do. It was 94 wide by 97 high, the stitch count, which put it at about, I don't know, about 5 inches, 5.5 inches, sort of squarish-ish. I don't know if I said when I started and finished it. Started 16th of September 2021, finished on the 8th of October, and then it winged its way over to the US as part of a package. So again, wasn't fully finished. of course, postal services. But yeah, that was a lovely little piece. I really wanted to keep it. You know, when you sort of stitching something and like you're like, I really don't want to give this away. What can I do instead? I had to give it away. I want it though. It will be done again. So, what else have we got? On to the things now. Not onto the things now that I have got. What I am going to do is remove what they're fighting over, which is pretty hilarious. I'll show you actually. Right, just give me 2 seconds. And when we have that, thank you. Right. Background. So we have we have a dog trainer that we go to called Lucy, and she's absolutely fantastic. And she helped us to find toys that got Rocky interested in things, because he's very food orientated, not so much toy orientated, unless it's a ball, and then it's game over. However, one of the things when we were doing our training sessions, like we're doing like Good Dog or something like that, like a few weekly courses, that Lucy brought out were used milk, like udder milking things. So it looks slightly phallic, but this is what I've just had to I've got 2 dogs staring at me now. This is what I've just had to retrieve. So yeah, apparently it's a smell, because they're used, like the smell, they just absolutely go potty for it, as well as it's sort of quite nice corgi size. So I'm going to stop waving this object around now, and I'm going to tuck it down the side of the sofa so we're not fighting over it. So there you go. Right, now I'm going to go on to the stuff that I actually have in my hands. I think all of it. Steady Threads Halloween sale. This is another one where it sort of ignited a bit of love for something other than cross stitch, because it was a black work stitch along. Now there were 2 pattern options, 2 choices of frames. You could either do like a smoke, or you could do gates. I chose the smoke option because when I saw it, it reminded me of The Shining and like the carpet from The Shining. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this, but I love it so much. So it cost about £10. It was a Halloween stitch along, so it started on the 28th of August and finished on the 24th of October last year. Hello, Nova, you're not having it. And it was sort of, the palette was orange and white and black, and then depending on what colour aid you picked, obviously you'd sort of use the different colours as you required. It's now got dog hair all over it because Nova was on it sniffing it. I stitched it 1/1 with DMC threads, and I think I have a floss toss somewhere, which I'll ask JC to put up. Never get of it. I started it on dyed black opal Ada, but it sort of stole the colours. They all sort of like didn't stand out as much, and I was at a point where I was like trying to force myself to stitch it because like I really wanted to stitch it on that piece of opal Ada. But yeah, I tested it on playing back and it looked a lot better, and other people sort of agreed with me there. So if you want to have a look, these are the tests. I'll get JC to pop them up. So yeah, opal, it didn't look great. I wanted it to look really good, but it didn't. So it stood out a lot more on the black Ada, and skews any fuzz or anything. But here we are. I love this a lot. And you might be asking, if I love it so much, why haven't I framed it? That is because there was a suggestion on Instagram that I ought to put possibly the pattern of the carpet of The Shining in here. That's in diamond. I don't know if you can tell, it's got a bit of a shine to it, the crystal ball. I love that idea. I'm still not sold on whether to do it or not though, because that seems like a little bit of planning too far from what I want to do with it. Like, I loved it as it was, and then the person that said it, I was like, oh, that's an amazing idea, I'll think on that, I might just do that. And then I've sat thinking about it. I think it looks good as it is. I'm not sure if it would add to it or not. I'm also not sure if I could face doing it. But yeah, just the detail and the planning. I'm not going to show the spider up close because I know some people don't like spiders, and I probably ought to have said there was a spider in that. But like, just the detail in there just looks absolutely spot on. So the designer is, I think I mentioned before, the Steady Thread. It was well worth the money I spent on it. It stitched up so nicely, gave me happy feels, and I don't know, I think I'm possibly just going to leave it as it is, in its glory, and frame it. I do like the carpet idea though. This is why it's like this. I keep bouncing between the two of them. So there may be more black work and embroidery things in the future because I did enjoy doing them so much. We shall see. Where can I put this? Well, there. Camera. Zoom. There we go. The next thing I have to talk about is Adopt a Demo Dog. So, again, this is my kind of cute. Just waiting for the camera to like refocus on me. Hello. There we go. Not that you care. You shouldn't be probably looking at your stitching anyway rather than me. So, Adopt a Demo Dog. I love Stranger Things. I am very excited for season 4. Have you seen the trailer drop for season 4 if you like Stranger Things? If you don't like Stranger Things, I'm not going to judge you, probably. I know it's not for everyone. I love it. So when I saw this, I had to buy it and I wanted to stitch it. I had a false start with it. I fell out of love with it because of the Ada I was stitching it on. It was a bit plasticky, it was a bit cheapy. So I switched the Ada, started again, and I fell back in love with it. So here is my finished Demo Dog. Check him out. How cute is he? I don't know why it's a he. I don't know why. He hasn't got a name. Feel free to drop name suggestions if you so wish. But yeah, love it. So the designer for this is White Raven Patterns, and I got it from Etsy. I've got it in, I never buy anything full price if I can help it because I'm from Yorkshire. So I've got it in a sale or a bundle. It'll probably only have cost a few pounds. It's 18 count black Ada, just regular Ada. Don't know where I got it from. It's DMC. I did a bit of colour tweaking, I think, because it was like either this cream or this sort of greeny colour wasn't sitting quite right. And this, like the red outline with the red, I don't know if you've seen like on the Flosstubes previously where I was like debating over which reds to do it. That seems like the kind of thing I should have written down. I probably have done it somewhere, but yeah, colour tweakage definitely occurred, and I am so happy with what the outcome is. He's tiny. He's not tiny. He is 72 wide by 126 high, which puts it at about 4 by 7 inches. And because of the restart and falling out of love with it and basically having a bit of a moment, I started on 21st of February, did a restart, but I ended up finishing on the 3rd of November. Not sure what to do now. I think it just needs like a nice frame, like nice black frame or something. I've got a few to try out. Just needs doing, just needs to happen. I haven't done it yet. Yeah, so that's my Demo Dog. Who can go there? that zoom. JC says, shall I take the zoom off? I'm like, oh no, it'll be good for the stitches in the close-ups, and it's just a complete nightmare, the zoom on this camera. I need to go back upstairs, really. I need to start filming back up in the office. The next finished object, check me out, all these finishers. This is what you do, what happens when you leave me to my own devices. Like, you know, bad things happen, and like life happens, and like there's a bit of rubbish, but I get things finished. It's better than every 2 weeks I'm just going, nothing's finished. 6 to 8 months on it. The pixels that made us, or the gamer stitch along. The phrase labour of love comes to mind when I talk about this. This was a slog. I mean, it was a good slog. It was a slog. The confetti is real. If you are doing this, you know what I mean. If you're not doing it and you're thinking about it, be aware. Confetti hell. However, it leads to an absolutely gorgeous finish. So the idea behind this is it's a charity stitch along. So you made a donation to charity, and then the designer Pick Stitch gave you access to the pattern. The stitch along's finished. It started on the 6th of March 2021 and it finished, I think, in December. I think it was a long burner. I've got December down there. I don't know if that's right, if I'm honest with you. I can't get my books out because they're packed. But it was a big, long stitch along. Or it felt like it by the end of it. Oh no, I finished on the 25th of December. The stitch along didn't finish on the 25th of December. I finished on the 25th of December. I can't remember when the stitch along started. That makes much more sense. That's the puppy. I'm probably going to have to go sort her out in a second. So, here is my finished gamer. What do you think? I'm trying to get it even and straight. The lighting's gone. Can't really see. Look at this. I mean, Pick Stitch, like, that is fantastic. So each letter is dedicated to a different retro games console. And an M. Got the sprites and the characters in there from various games. And I had a lot of fun and a lot of Googling, trying to work out, trying to get the best light for it, who was who and what was what. But the confetti was real. So like I say, it was a decent stitch along. It was like over a few months. It took me between March and December to finish it, but it was worth it. Right. Anything else to say about this? 18 count opalescent Ada. The reason was because it looks sort of like a TV screen, and the retro consoles, a lot of them were played on old like CRT TVs with the static, so that was kind of the idea behind the opal. Backstitching helped to pick out the sprites, some of the characters. Yeah, just the confetti, like this, honestly, I know I've said it like 3 or 4 times now, but confetti, not good, but well worth it, definitely. Right, so last but not least, we've got the Ukraine Solidarity Stitch Along. I try to keep this channel as positive as possible, which isn't saying much when it's me, because I'm a glass half empty person. I'm a glass is empty, glass doesn't even exist person, if I'm being quite honest. I also try and stay quite neutral, offer my opinion or views on events if I feel the need to. But some things are important to acknowledge, and I think the situation in Ukraine at the moment is one of them. So, to show my support for people of Ukraine and what's currently going on, I donated to some Ukrainian charities. I bought from some Ukrainian designers, and I also stitched with intent on the Ukraine Solidarity Stitch Along by One Point Mind. So there's a lot of Ukraine sales going on at the moment of various ways, shapes and forms, and you can have a look on Instagram to see what's going on if you want to show some support or have a focus piece to stitch with intent. However, here is mine. So it's 56 by 56, so it's about 3 by, well, it's approximately 3 by 3 inches. And I started it on the 27th of February and finished it on the 20th of March this year. And the designer is One Point Mind, and it's free on their blog. But like I said, I chose to make donations to Ukrainian charities, or charities supporting Ukraine at the moment. And it's on my favourite 18 count Grey Clouds Ada by Claire Brown X Stitch. It was a lovely piece to stitch. I mean, I stitched with intent. I was focusing on the situation and what was going on and, you know, all that kind of thing. But I really enjoyed the symmetry, and each symbol and colour has a meaning, and you can sort of read about that on the blog. So it was nice to sort of have all that information as well and sort of put that into my focus and while I was actually stitching it. I decided to leave the white until last. I mean, the white, it's just the Ada. You can sort of see on the white bits there. And that's because I wanted to leave the white until the conflict sort of resolved or peace returns at some point. I mean, my heart goes out to everyone impacted by this conflict. I can't even begin to comprehend what you are going through at the moment. But that's just something that I could do just to focus and just to show support. So there we go. It won't get fully finished. My zoom's gonna go. It won't get fully finished until, like I say, the white stitches go in there, whenever that may be. So that's why that one's not fully finished. That's not just me being lazy, which is normally the case. That's the case with the game of Stitch Along. I think like I got rid of the confetti and then my brain was just like, yes, it's done, and then that's it. So next, things that I've kitted or had the intention to start but haven't done, or plans and that kind of thing. So if you ever want to feel better about yourself and the amount of stitching that you've done, you can come over here anytime to this Flosstube, because I am telling you, my intentions and what I actually get done are completely two different things. So I actually have kitted up a few things. I actually have not started some of these things, many of these things. I've also bought a lot more that I haven't even kitted up, but we'll just brush over that for the minute. So I don't know what to do about this. I don't want to put like images up for everything. I'm just going to sort of list. I think I've got a list in front of me, so I'll list and talk about them briefly, because I know this is going to run on into a long Flosstube. So I have a cute, yeah, I'll go that far. I'll have a cute little witch pattern. I have a gorgeous Two Towers Lord of the Rings pattern that I want to start. I have a T-Rex I want to start. I love dinosaurs. I've got a Stranger Things piece. I've got a lot of cells that I've sort of in my head or actually signed up for but not actually started, including the Story Stitches Halloween cell, Labyrinth Stitch Along, Horror Movie Stitch Along by Wolfpack Creations, which is actually stitched up really nicely. The Labyrinth cell's finished, the Halloween cell's finished that I just mentioned previously. Shining Stitch Along, the Overlook Stitch Along, that's currently ongoing. Lakeside Needlecraft Crystallized Stitch Along, not started that yet, got all the stuff for it. That's ongoing yet. C.S. Lewis Stitch Along, Chronicles of Narnia, bought that, kitted it up, finished. It's finished. I've not even started it. There's also Sleepy Hollow that I was supposed to be doing as a stitch along with my Crafty Coven friends, and we were supposed to be starting that after Halloween. I am technically starting it after Halloween, just not when we said, because I haven't quite started that yet either, so to speak. I've also in my head got signed up for the Jurassic Park stitch along. I'm very excited about that. Love dinosaurs, very excited. There are some things I wanted to do that my budget wouldn't allow, so like the Forbidden Fibre Summer in Sunnydale, Black Needle Society Stephen King's Retreat in a Box, I think it is. Fangirl Fibres are doing a Nightmare Before Christmas box, which might not have a pattern in it, they're not quite sure at the moment. Also the huge Pokemon things, like massive Pokemon Gen designs, and lots of long dog samplers. So all these things like in my head is like, I'd really like to start or do some of them, just life or time or a mixture. Also like, yeah, just so much stitching that could be done, so little time to do it, and sometimes no energy or intent. But there we go. Purchases is supposed to be next. Right, I cannot put up the things that I've purchased because there's so much of it. I'll just be quite honest with you. Just because I've not been stitching or present on Flosstube doesn't mean I've stopped buying in any way, shape or form. Highlights. Let's have a think. Highlights of things. I have bought a lot of stuff from Stitch Ferret. A lot of stuff from Stitch Ferret, who is an absolutely fantastic fabric dyer and floss dyer here in the UK, and provides an amazing service. JC loves the Haribo. Please don't ever stop sending that, because it's the only way I get away with buying so much stuff from you on a regular basis. So Witchy Stitcher, I bought, what did I buy? There was a Mothman piece, and there was a Cone of Doom sampler. Got those. There was a Krampus box that wasn't from the Witchy Stitcher, but there was a pattern by the Witchy Stitcher in it. Got that. Managed to bag one of those. Managed to bag a Sleepy Hollow box as well. Yeah, that's just a tip of a very big iceberg. Yeah. So much to stitch. So much money. Oh well. It's a hobby. I could be doing other things, but I'm not. Seam's gone again. That's what happens when I move my hair. So, yes, if you just came for stitchy stuff, then that's pretty much it. It's probably like it prior to me saying about the things I wanted to stitch and haven't done. So, if you stuck with me this long, thank you very much. If you're not interested in my fab folk mentions or any of my live stuff, thank you for coming along to this long rambling journey, and I'll catch you next time. See you later. If you're sticking around, I have a confession to make. I have, as you know, not been on Flosstube for a while. I've also not watched any Flosstube for a while. I was working my way through lots of channels from scratch. I was like sort of developing my regulars who I love to watch and discovering new people. However, when I stopped doing Flosstube, it was sort of like, I don't know if it's like a mental block, or it was like, I don't know, guilt, like I've stopped, therefore I shouldn't be watching any, or I don't know, didn't want to feel bad that I wasn't doing it and that other people were. I don't know what it was, if I'm honest, but I haven't watched any Flosstube in months and months and months, which I feel slightly bad about, because I encouraged Jo, one of my stitchy friends, who will be like a person I've actually met at the weekend, check that out, to start a channel. So yeah, I feel slightly bad that I actively encouraged, bullied Joe, was one of those people that did that, and I've not actually watched it yet, so very, very sorry. However, you ought to go and watch Joe, and I will, and I'll put a link to her channel in my descriptions. So anyway, we can't do Flosstube and Flosstubes that I've been watching and things that I've discovered and people that I've discovered, because I can't, because I haven't watched any. So what we're going to do is something called Fab Folk instead, because firstly, in fact, I want to say, if you don't get a mention here, it's not because I don't think you're fabulous. I do. You're all amazing. I'm well aware of how long this video is, and I also am pretty rubbish, and my brain is rubbish, and a lot of the last few months has been like sort of swept away by the wayside and compartmentalised. So if you've touched base with me or got in contact or dropped me a message or checked in to see what's going on and if I'm okay or alive, basically, thank you so, so much. However, especially thank you to a few people. So, in no particular order, I've already mentioned Joe, Stitchy Cat Lady, who knows way too much of my life probably than someone I've never met should. However, that's how we roll. Joe is part of my sanity, as is also Morty as well, Mad Morty, and all of my crafty coven. You know who you are, and thank you very much for being there for me. Stitchiness. Stitchiness does not have a Flosstube, but Stitchiness is an amazing human being who checks in on me regularly, who we have cat and dog discussions and photo sharing about. And yeah, Ness is just such a lovely person, and thank you so much, Ness, for being there and available and putting up with me rambling at you. So I've just got two more people who I want to mention, one of whom I've mentioned already, which is Sophie, who is a Stitchy Ferret, and Steph from So Glover Creations. Now, Steph wanted to send me a bit of Stitch kindness and did, and it really made me smile. Thank you so much for that. And it was in the form of some fabric from Sophie, Sophie Stitchy Ferret. So that was all engineered and sent to me, and they didn't want to spoil the surprise, but they knew me that well that I actually ordered the fabric that Steph had picked to send me. So Sophie, being absolutely amazing, offered me the opportunity to swap out what I'd already bought. So yeah, I swapped out that, so I got Stitch Kindness and some other beautiful things, and like I said, that really did sort of lift my spirits and cheer me up a bit. So thank you very much for that. I massively appreciate it. So next time I'll try and watch some Flosstube. I need to watch Joe. Right, Stitchy Cat Lady 26. It's on. I'm watching your channel. I will watch it. It's the least I can do for being part of a few people who were actively sort of encouraging you to do that, and then I've not watched any. And I'm going to try and catch up with all my regulars, and that is going to be my mission, as well as discovering some new people. So yeah, I will stop these weird things going on in my head about not watching Flosstube, because I've got no idea what they are and why I'm not doing it, and we'll be back to Flosstube. But like I said before, thank you so much to anyone who has dropped me a message, who has commented, who just, you know, made sure I was okay, because it's been a bit of a weird time. Which moves me nicely onto live stuff. So I guess if I were you, I'd be wanting to know what's sort of gone on and why I kind of disappeared a bit. And that's cool, because, you know, everyone likes to know what's going on in people's lives. I do. I'm nosy. I don't necessarily like goss. I just like banking information. So it was basically a few things that rolled into one big heap of a mess, if I'm honest. When I filmed the last video, JC and I were talking, and as I tend to do, I hyper-focused on one thing, and then as my brain and my head tends to do, it made it into something much, much bigger than what it actually is. And it was about the value in what I'm doing. So I'm not fishing at this point for anything, but this is genuinely what happened. So he wasn't being funny. We were having a genuine discussion about there's going to be a point where I can't do my job anymore. It's just going to take too much on my body, too much like mentally, and like with the fibro and with the CFS, I'm just not going to be able to do it in the capacity that I do at the moment. So we were talking about if I could make anything out of or grow Crafty Road Gamer, do more of this, do something else, I don't know, start designing, or I don't know, build the brand, or make something out of this. Anyway, so I'm a person who's had lifelong self-esteem issues and anxiety about things and myself and my body and how I look, and you know, like sort of perfectionism and how good I am at things and that kind of stuff. You get the gist. Anyway, what I got out of that conversation was I don't add value with my content, like as in what I'm doing now doesn't add value. And what then that sort of started me spiraling, sort of thinking, what can I do better? How can I add value? And that all was like sort of swimming around in my head. And because I've got this like perfectionism thing going on and slightly compulsive thing going on where I need to have plans and know what's happening, and I sort of like got to that point where I was like, well, I can't do one until I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. What can I do? And that was that anyway. So as that was creeping into my head and taking hold, my mum had some major health issues, and if you follow me on Instagram and you actually read anything that I put, because sometimes it's essays, I don't blame you if you don't. I don't want to go TMI because it's like my mum's story, not mine. And I know like details of things can sort of trigger people, and I don't want to do that. And I also know some people might be snacking, so I don't want to go into too much detail with that either. But right, okay. The beginning of last year and like the back end of the year before, my mum had a flu jab and she lost mobility. So she was that for months, like months and months. It was an adverse reaction. She's got lots of complex medical issues, and it caused her to basically be immobile. So she was just sort of getting out of that and like back to being somewhat mobile, and then she got a bad infection, and then she just got over that, and then we're talking over sort of like extended periods here. We're not talking like sort of like one day then the next day then the next day. Then she developed ulcers in her legs, and because of her medical conditions, these ulcers aren't getting better, and they again then got infected, and then she nearly lost her life on a couple of occasions, and lots of like sort of hospitalizations and things like that. So she won't mind me saying, I'm sure she's currently still housebound pretty much. She hasn't really got her mobility back to how it was. She can't walk properly, struggles to move about, and like I said, she can't get rid of these ulcers. I'm her carer, and it's been tough all around. Like, I can't imagine what she's going through. Like, I get pain with my fibro, but the pain that she must have is just ridiculous, and she's like allergic to all the good stuff. So basically the only painkillers she can take are paracetamol, and they don't even like touch what she's going through. So yeah, it's been months and months of like just a cycle of my mum sort of getting iller, and like I say, I'm a carer, and the trouble is that stress is one of the big triggers for my fibro and CFS, and like I then get flare-ups, and yeah, it's just been a tough year. Definitely last 6 months, 8 months personally. That spiked my pain, and then I've had flare-ups, and if you add my not particularly stress-free job or an ill puppy into the mix, because she's not been well as well, not just now but like previously, she's had a bad 2 seasons, it's just absolutely floored me. So I'm just mentally and physically drained. So there you go. It's pretty much all of those things, and not having the headspace to sort of come back and do this, even though I've wanted to, although I haven't, because what's my value? I don't know. I do care. I don't care. I enjoy doing this, and if I can do something with it, then cool. If not, then fine, not a problem. It's just a way to show how little stitching I get done every few weeks, eh? Anyway, not all doom and gloom. We're not ending on that at all. So, good stuff. Good life stuff. What have I watched? Well, it's been months, so I have watched a lot of series and films. I have binge watched a lot of things. I can't remember a lot of them now. I was really engrossed and enjoyed Queen of the South and Black Sails and The Act. So Queen of the South is Netflix. Black Sails is Prime. No, it's Stars, but it's on Prime. The Act is on Star Play as well, and that's really cool. I'm also mildly obsessed with the home edit. Like, that was one of my procrastinations. Instead of doing what I actually needed to do, which was stitched on the Curse project, I rearranged the kitchen. Just saying. The other thing I've really been enjoying is Derry Girls, which is a comedy, and it's on Channel 4. And it's so funny, and it just reminds me of what I can remember, or gives me like feels or bits of twinges about like that era in time. Not like that I lived in Northern Ireland at that time, just like the music sort of brings back a few things. But Derry Girls is so funny, and they're currently airing season 3. So I binge watched that to get to that point where I could start watching season 3. Films I really enjoyed, recently watched The Many Saints of Newark, which is a Sopranos prequel film. That was, honestly, I really enjoyed that. And then the other one that stands out is Doctor Sleep. So I'm, I quite like my Stephen King stuff, and I enjoyed that more than I thought I would at the start of the film. So at the start I was like, it was a bit of a slow burner for me anyway, in my opinion. And it was like, where's this actually going? But then it went good. So yeah, I enjoyed Doctor Sleep as well. What else have I been doing? I've been getting my ass handed to me on Elden Ring. So gaming wise, Elden Ring, that's real. I'm not massively far into it. Loving the grind and the complete lack of any instructions about where to go or what to do. But there you go. That's a Souls game. And that's that. It's been pretty, I don't know, stressful yet. I don't know. Hopefully we're out of it now. Hopefully we're out of the worst of it. But there has been good stuff in the mix of that. And JC's amazing. He's great. And B's amazing as well. And the dogs when they're not being pains in the bum, and the cats as well. So I can't complain. It's just, that's what's been going on. Just in case you were wondering, because I would have been, to be quite honest. So, where do we go from here? That's a good question. That's what's next. Finally, where do we go from here? Maybe not finally. I promised Jessie C, I promised a corgi update, because that's what she requested. So I'll pop some pictures at the end, because they're finally both asleep, and I'm not waking them up. Jessie, I like you, but I don't like you that much to wake up the dogs after they've just finally gone to sleep. Now I'm at the end of filming this. Right. I had what currently feels like a massive lapse in judgment, and I know it's not, but I signed up for a weekend retreat in Crewe this weekend, so it's currently 1 minute past midnight on Friday. I need to go drive to St Helens for work, and then I'm going to Crewe from Yorkshire, so it's going to be a long day tomorrow, and that's until Sunday. And then on Sunday it's my mum's birthday, so after I finish the retreat I'm going to go to see my mum, hopefully with a finished cursed project, albeit possibly not washed or ironed. I need to think about that. Anyway, this retreat in Crewe, it's going to be fine. It's just I'm not in a place right now where I can process the fact that I'm not going to be at home for the weekend, especially with Nova being poorly and on medication. JC will be fine with her. I know this, but like, I don't like it. Anyway, so yeah, mum seemed to be getting better, don't want to say that, but better than she has been in a while, and life was evening out a bit. So I saw that a place had like popped up on this retreat in Crewe. I've never been on one. I don't know what to expect. However, I know for a fact I get to meet Joe, Morty and David in person, and I am very, very happy about that. So hopefully lots of stitching will be done, lots of fun times will be had. However, I currently can't get past this little big ball of stress and anxiety about it. And yeah, Nova got even iller last night. Bad English. So I now feel extra stressy about that. But hey ho. Flosstubes. I'm back. Yay. I'm not going to try and stick to a schedule yet, but you can take this as Flosstube is back in some way. And I will post when I can, and I will try and get onto some kind of schedule. I'll probably leave doing stuff until I've actually got stuff to show, because what's the point? So maybe probably not once every couple of weeks, but like maybe a bit longer. We'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll take it. We'll play it by ear. I might do a bit of filming at the Crewe retreat. I know Morty and Joe have said / threatened to do that, and no doubt I'm gonna get dragged into that or instigate it. I don't know. So we might do something. Anyway, yeah, that's it. So yeah, I hope you sat down with a cup of tea and had just been to Lou, because I think this is going to be on over an hour and you won't have had a break from me rambling, unless you pause me, of course, which I don't blame you, or fast forwarded me, like speeded me up. Like I sound quite good at 1.5 speed. Probably could even like go further than that on YouTube. Anyway, thank you once again if you've left any comment or got in touch over the last 6 to 8 months, or you've just stuck with me until the end of this video. I'm Crafty Hero Gamer on Instagram if you want to head over there. I tend to post mostly stitchy crafty stuff, some gaming, some pets, and general life stuff occasionally too, just lots of bits and bobs. So I'm over on Instagram. Like I said, I've promised Jessie a corgi update. So Nova has, like I said earlier, just had her first birthday. Rocky's going to be 2 next month, and I'll tag some photos in when I stop talking. So, like I say, I'm not getting up now, no chance. Anything or anyone I've talked about or mentioned, I'll put in the description of the video. If you want to throw me a comment, say hi, or chat about anything I've mentioned, or want some more details, just drop a comment. I'll be happy to answer and chat to you. I do read and respond to everything, just depending on life and what's going on. It might take me a little while. So again, thanks for sticking with me if you've come back, and thanks for watching and sticking with me if it's your first time here, and I will see you next time, whenever that is. Take care.